What is going on, people? Today we've got to talk about Chelsea once more as Todd Boehly's relentless desire and itch to spend as much money as possible continues as Chelsea are closing in on a massive deadline deal for Enzo Fernandez. Over the last 48 hours, we've had a lot of reports from the mainstream media and a lot of tier 1 journalists basically saying that Chelsea are prepared to make an official bid of 105 million euros, which is obviously subject to rise based on add-ons and based on additional clauses in the contract, as well as obviously the fee being paid across installments across the length of the player's contract. Now, we had a report from Fabrizio Romano saying that for Rui Costa, the president of Benfica, he actually wants Chelsea to submit a 120 million euro bid. That's the proposal that Benfica would be happy with as sort of a base fee. And equally, we had Duncan Castle basically saying it's around 130 million euros that would compensate Benfica's president for the sale of Enzo Fernandez. So different prices being quoted, but generally speaking, we're talking about a ballpark of 100 to 130 million euros for Enzo Fernandez. Now, I've personally already made a video about Enzo Fernandez talking about why I think he would fit Chelsea and why I think he's such a special player. He's just a well-rounded midfielder who can link the attack and the defense better than a lot of people at his age. On top of that, he was a pivotal part of Argentina winning the World Cup. He was also a pivotal part in Benfica doing so well in their Champions League group and their dominance in the Portuguese league so far this season. He is so unbelievably underrated in my humble opinion. He can do pretty much everything. He is a midfielder who works extremely hard off the ball. He's good at breaking up the play. He's good in a pressing system because he's got that intensity and he's got the stamina to really go up and down the pitch across the 90 minutes, but equally, he's got the technical ability on the ball. And so when you look at how well-rounded he is and how good this player is, 130 million euros across a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year contract isn't actually that crazy when you really break it down. Also, players' valuations in the modern game are less to do with the player's ability and more to do with how important that player is relative to the club and the league he is playing in, right? And Enzo Fernandez, obviously because of the World Cup, but mainly because of his form at Benfica, has shot into popularity and is one of the hottest commodities in world football at the moment. So that's going to play a factor in his valuation. Also, just how good he is at that young age is also going to play a huge factor. The fact that Benfica don't just want to let him go unless it's a crazy amount of money. We've seen this with João Felix. We've seen this with Darwin Núñez. We've seen this with a lot of Benfica players, and I'm sure we'll see it with a lot more Benfica players going forward. They don't let go of their talent for cheap, and it's a model that has been very sustainable for them, both financially and also just in terms of keeping them as a popular club and a part of the conversation in Europe, because obviously clubs like Benfica benefit from the interaction and just them being mentioned in the media, right? That's an obvious thing. So from a commercial point of view, from a financial point of view, and from a footballing point of view, Benfica have absolutely mastered the ability to buy cheap and sell high. They really are the kings of it. We've seen Dortmund employ this over the years. We've seen Brighton do it exceptionally well in the Premier League in recent history, but I think Benfica are up there with some of these clubs that are really being the hub of talent in European football. And I think it's amazing. I genuinely do. But back to Enzo Fernandez. Should Chelsea spend this money? For me, it's a resounding yes. If there are any Chelsea fans watching, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, do you think that this deal will get done before the conclusion of deadline day? Because I tell you what, for me, it's almost 12 p.m. where I am right now at the time of me recording this video. So Chelsea have got about 12 hours to finish this deal. I don't know if they'll be able to get it done within the adequate amount of time. However, they have been working on this deal for pretty much some time now. So it's not like Chelsea will be going into this deal starting from scratch. You know, I'm pretty sure all that would be left is for them to submit a verbal bid, and if Benfica accept, then all that's left is the paperwork. We already know that he has been pushing for a move. Enzo Fernandez has missed a training session with Benfica already, and he's putting the club under pressure to sell him. So he's made it publicly known, even though he hasn't directly said it word for word, but he's made it publicly known that he wants to leave Benfica and he's very interested in this Chelsea move. And I imagine if he doesn't get this move, there's going to be a lot of trouble and there's going to be a lot of sour grapes between him and the management at Benfica. So, I mean, similar to Antony coming to Manchester United, similar to a lot of other players like Mudryk coming to, well, he was going to go to Arsenal, but ended up going to Chelsea, right? There's a lot of these players who push for moves, and what ends up happening is if you decide to keep that player and if you stubbornly decide to wait for a massive, ridiculous transfer fee, what you could end up with is a player who doesn't want to play for the club, a player who's just not happy, who feels mistreated and who feels trapped, and they don't play to the best of their ability for the next 6 months or the next however long is left on their contract. And then their valuation drops, and then you end up selling them for an even cheaper price than you otherwise would have if you just sold them at the optimal time. That's my personal opinion. So Benfica, if they want to sell Enzo Fernandez, now is the best time. This is the best deal they're going to get, especially from the lunatics that are Chelsea Football Club and Todd Boehly, right? There's nobody else in Europe who's willing to spend that amount of money on a 24-year-old. 23, 24? I think he's 24 years old, right? A 24-year-old wonder kid who is on the cusp of becoming one of the best midfielders of his generation. Anyways, it's been your boy Triple M. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace.